Hello students, do you know what is the difference between motivation and reinforcement? Just think about that. You might have learned about both these terms. If not, I'm sure about the you must have heard about the reinforcement. No, let me explain it. Motivation is a process related with the starting point of any action or behavior. On the other hand, the reinforcement is a process which keep on that behavior or action in continuation. So for continuation and further action and the repetition of the action, the reinforcement is used, and to start any action or behavior, that process is called the motivation. Now the obvious question is that what is motivation? Now let's talk about motivation. And motivation is an English word which has a root in Latin word that is called motum. And motum means to move, to motion, anything. So motivation has a link with the Latin word that is called motum. Now the second is that motivation is related with why. You know, whenever any action or behavior is going to start, but before starting up that behavior or action, one obvious word is there, always there, and that is why. And that why word is related with the motivation. You know, just with a simple example, I will try to explain it. Why are you attending this class? There must be some motive behind that. There must be something behind that. Why are you attending this class? It means you have the reason is your motivation. You know, the reason behind why are you attending this class is of course related with the motivation. It is related with the why for any action or behavior. So according to Skinner, motivation is the super highway of learning. So again we can proceed further and we can link motivation with the learning also as well. So there is a great link between learning and motivation, and this linkage has been greatly emphasized by the Skinner, and that is in these lines that motivation is the super highway of learning. It means if you have a great motivation, the stronger the motivation, the stronger the learning will be there. So, if any child or any group of student are highly motivated, it means there is a great scope of learning. So, just to have a guarantee of learning, we should initiate, we should create motivation, because motivation provides a reason to an individual to perform any action or behavior. So, motivation is the super highway of learning. Now, let's talk about the motivation as a process, and this process can be easily understood by quotation told by the Raleigh and Lewis. According to Rayleigh and Lewis, motivation is a process. Students, we need to take care of these things as we are going to appear in the competitive exams. So we need to note down these minute things, minute details, as motivation is a process, motivation is not a product. So here motivation is a process, and this process directs what this process, it's a process which directs our internal energies. Motivation is a process which directs our internal energies towards goals, objectives. So motivation is it's all about starting off a process which directs our internal energies towards goals or objectives. So it means motivation is related with our internal energies. It may related with our feelings. It may be related with our emotions. It may be related with our aspirations. Anything. So, but it is related with internal energies. It means motivation is all related with starting or creating something or disturbing our internal energies, which start and then it leads towards achievement of some goals or objectives, whatever has been decided. So, these internal energies, it creates some action and behavior, and this action and behavior which is created by our internal energies, those they just rush towards the goals and objectives. So in this way, with this quotation, according to the Rayleigh and Lewis, we can easily understand that motivation is a process which directs our internal energies towards goals, objectives. So motivation is an internal energies, and again these internal energies may be divided into two parts. One is related with our push, and another one is pull. You know that motivation is a process related with our internal energies, and these energies are there are two types: push and pull. Push means something internal, anything which is lying inside us. It may be our feeling or anything else, aspiration, which is attracting something to come inside, and that is called pushing. Something is pushing you to do something, and that is a pushing factor, and that is pushing your internal energies. And there another one is the pulling your internal energies. So pulling means something, some great factor is lying outside of your body, outside of your mind, which is attracting, which is pulling your internal energies. It may be the attraction of that objective. It may be a very good highest high attainment value of that particular object or action or behavior or that aim and objective. According to these two internal energies, push and pull, we can say that the push energies, push internal energies are related with our internal motivation, and the pull factor of an internal energies are related with the our external motivation. Now let's talk about motives. and these motives are related with the motivation, and we need to understand the types of motives to have a better understanding of motivation. So accordingly, the motives are of two types. One is primary motive and the second one is secondary motives. So primary motives are totally based on the biological uh, basis and biological needs, and these are the hunger, thirst, and many more things. And these are the primary motives. These kind of these always these things, these needs always create some sort of motivation that is related with our primary motive. And the second one is secondary motive, and secondary motive are solely related with our social behavior and social aspect of motivation and motives, because uh, there are something which are related with our biological thing, which attract something and drive us to do something. And there are some social aspect, achievement, ranking, uh, prestige, and name and fame, sometimes achievement, sometimes competition. There are many more things vested in our social aspect, which pull our energies to go outside and to do some perform some action or behavior. So we can say that there are two types of motives. One is primary motive and second one is secondary motive. Again, if we'll talk about the motivation, we can say that there are two types of motivation. uh, on the basis of these motives, we can say that internal motivation and external motivation. External motivation may be also called as extrinsic motivation. Internal motivation may be called as intrinsic motivation. And what are the internal and intrinsic motivation? These motivation are without reward and punishment. So intrinsic motivation are not based on, they are not really bothered about any particular reward or punishment. But the external or extrinsic motivation, this wholly solely, they always rely and they are based on the reward and punishment. Because the internal or intrinsic motivation, they are not in the they do not look for any particular reward and punishment. And because internal or intrinsic motivation are basically based on the primary motive, it may be related with our biological related or things, or it may be our internal aspiration, something like that. So we were talking about the internal or intrinsic motivation, and intrinsic motivation do not require any particular reward or punishment. They are intrinsic because they are related with us really, either in a for because of a primary motive, or it may be related with our any particular aspiration. It may be our personal desire. Because of the personal desire and personal dreams, sometimes we work hard to do to achieve something. So these are called the intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation, external motivation, it means the cause is lying outside. In intrinsic, cause was inside, and in extrinsic, the cause is lying outside. It may be any social aspect, it may be competition, it may be reward, it may be anything else. Again, we need to emphasize these two words, push and pull, because these two words are related with the energies, internal energies, push and pull. So all the push factors are related with our internal or intrinsic. Anything which is lying outside, lying inside, but if that energy is trying to push out or drive to do something, that is intrinsic. And pull out means some that core cause is lying outside, and that particular factor, particular reason is pulling our internal energies towards outside. And that type of motivation is called external or extrinsic motivation. So there are two types of motivation, intrinsic and now let's talk about the internal state related with the motivation, and there are stages related with the motivation. So we can clearly say that motivation is all related with our internal state, and moreover, these internal state and are related with the three stages. So motivation has three stages at least. First one is arousal, second one is directing, and third one is maintaining. So arousal, direct and maintain, these three are the stages of motivation, and all these three stages are required for the completion of motivation. If arousal is the initial stage, arousal of feeling, it means initially we may start and initiate the motivation, but it may be quite possible that it is not going to the second stage and further proceeding to the third. It means that motivation was little, initially it was initiated by, it may be because of any particular speech, it may be because of a momentary attraction, whatever it may be. So initially arousal is very easy, but going to the second level, directing, directing towards the action, and the third one to maintain that direction, to maintain that action, that is all required, and without this the motivation is defeated. So motivation has three stages: one is arousal, second direction, directing towards action, and third one is maintain till achieved. So unless and until, you might have heard about the Vivekananda's quotation, then start, awake, arise, and do not stop until the target is achieved. So through this quotation also we can extract these three stages of motivation: arousal, in arise, awake, and go, keep on going, keep on going, keep on doing those things unless and until you have not achieved your target. So the third one is very much required to maintain that tempo, to maintain that action, to maintain that behavior. And if it is not there, third one is missing, so motivation may not be completed, and you will not be you are not going to achieve those objectives for what motivation was started. So motivation is related with the arousal, directing towards action, and so, for a successful motivational process completion, these three stages are required. Again, I am repeating: arousal of feelings, second, directing towards action, and third one, maintain till achieved. So, these three stages are for the. Now, let's talk about the cycle of motivation, and it's very important to understand and what is the cycle and what is the sequence of the things coming in the way of the process of motivation. So if you're talking about the cycle of motivation, we need to think about three things in a row and in a sequence. At first, the need arised. So need is the first one and the important one. So the cycle, in cycle, the first thing happen is the need, creation of need. Second one is the drive which drive an individual to do something, which forces an individual to do something, that is called drive. So after the need, a drive will be there which will force an individual to do something. And the third one is the incentive. Incentive, it may be it's a type of presence of any particular thing which will satisfy the need. Unless and until the incentive is not there, the need is not going to be satisfied. As we can see through this slide, that hunger may be a need. Hunger is a need. So what will be the drive? Search of food. you will start thinking of seeing the food, you will start searching the food. It means you are trying to do and you are some action. That is the drive. Drive means it may be related with the search of food. So search of food is a drive. And third one is action to do the search of food and related with the. So in this example, the food is related with the, you can say that food is incentive here in this example. So hunger is the need, and the drive here is search of food, and the incentive is food. So food is incentive itself. So the fourth one is in this cycle may be added as the goal achievement. So first one is the need creation, second one is drive, third one is incentive, and fourth one is goal achieved. So these three things will lead you towards achieving the goal, and goal achievement means need satisfaction. So in this way the cycle of motivation goes on. We need to take care of these things: who comes first, who comes second, who comes third and fourth. So first one is need, second one is drive, third one is incentive, and fourth one is goal achievement. So before moving to the approaches of the motivation, let me ask some question, and these questions are very important for the even examinations for the competitive or any other exam. So the first question in this slide we can see that what is the reward or punishment in connection with the motivation. So what do you think that which one is most effective, reward or punishment? What do you think, the reward is going to be more productive or punishment? So if these kinds of question is asked in the exam, the appropriate answer is you need to write the reward. The second question may be asked like this: the same type of rewards, or there must be a change in the types of reward. It means the reward must be changed or it must be the same. So the answer may be written like that, may be understood like that. The rewards should not be uh, the same. Its intensity must not be same. Its quantity, its quality may be changed time to time. So depending on the objective, depending on the age of the student and learner. So these things, suppose the student is studying in the class 12th, and you cannot give a reward of a toffee, so depending on the size of the uh, parameters, size of the motivation, and the objectives, and many more things, and this class and intelligence level, and social aspect maybe sometimes may be considered while giving the rewards. The second one is that in this reward is related with reward is that the reward must be changed and it must be incremental also. So every time you should not confine to a particular amount of reward, so it must be incremental. We can understand with this. Initially, suppose a child was being given the toffee, then on the later stages he may be given chocolate. So on another or so advanced stages he may be given watch, then again it will be a mobile. So for parents or teachers or anyone whosoever is going to give the award rewards, they must take care of this. The rewards must be changed all the time, and it must be incremental in nature. Always it must be incremental. So the next one is the related question about the motivation is that the reward treatment must be equal to the introvert or extrovert, or it may be differentiated when we are applying the reward treatment or punishment treatment on introvert and extrovert. It must be same, or it must be in a different way. So as far as the reward is concerned, reward must be given in an equal way to the introvert and extrovert. But in the case of punishment, introvert must be given at lower level, lower degree, and the extrovert must get may be given at the higher degree. So in terms of punishment there may be some variation, but as far as the reward is concerned, introvert and extrovert both must be treated same. Let's see some more questions. Another question is there like that. Punishment may be given directly or indirectly. What may be the right answer? And the right answer is the punishment may be given indirectly. Punishment must not be given directly at all. Another relevant question is motivation is a product or process. It's very simple. The motivation is a process, it's not a product. Another question is the motivation is internal state or external state. We must not be confused with the types of motivation. The types of motivation is intrinsic and extrinsic, but here we are talking about what is motivation. Motivation is all related with the internal state. Motivation is an internal state. It's not related with any external state. So it's related with the internal energy, internal state. So motivation is related with the internal state. So before after these questions, let's talk about the various approaches of motivation. Now, dear students, let's talk about the approaches, and there are three approaches of motivation available with us. The first one is behavioristic, and the second one is humanistic, and the third one is cognitive. And we these approaches talks about the different types of motivation. For example, behavioristic approaches of motivation believes that the motivation is external. Motivation depending on the pull factor, and motivation is always lying outside, and it may be social or anyone thing else, but externally nothing is happening inside. The stimulus is present outside. So behavioristic always talk about the stimulus and response. So as far as the stimulus is concerned, stimulus is also going to be found externally. So behavioristic believes that motivation lies outside, and motivation may be extrinsically. The second one, humanistic, believes that motivation is always intrinsic. When we talk about the Maslow, and when it thought about the food, need, security, love, and prestige, and all those things, five stages of Maslow's hierarchy, when we talk about. So, Maslow is of the opinion, humanistic approach is of the opinion that everything is born inside. So, intrinsically, motivation is more important, and that is the main cause. The cause of motivation is always found inside. The third one is cognitive approach, who thought that everything happened in our cognitive structure. Um, Unless and until there is no change in our cognitive structure, nothing is going to be noticeable. So cognitive approach also believes that the motivation lies intrinsic. So the main reason, and anything related with the motivation may be found intrinsically. So accordingly, these approaches have the differences of the opinion, and in our next video we will deal with these approaches in details, and some more theories related with the motivation. Till, keep on rehearsing and asking yourself some question related with the motivation, and in the next class and video we will discuss those questions. Thank you.